Hello and welcome to the Bentleigh Report. It is November 2023. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Leon Guzenfitter.
You are indeed, or otherwise known by some as Mr. Bentleigh, and lots going on in Mr. Bentleigh.
There
it's
is.
life at the moment, I'm presuming.
There is, Gary. It's such a busy time of year. Even getting here to film today, it's hard because you're doing so many different things at once. And
Professional juggler.
This is our Boxing Day sale that just goes for about 8 weeks.
It does.
And it does 24/7 for about 8 weeks. And then hopefully by mid-December, we can finish selling everything and we can have a couple of days off.
Get it happening.
2024 is here.
We gathered all the troops together in our meeting. We meet every week, of course, at least once, and talked about staying fit and strong and match fit, because it's not a sprint, it is a staying race. It's like the Melbourne Cup.
Yes.
It just has many, many days attached to it. And Leon, we're going to go late this year. We're going to be right through until the 17th, including the 17th of December, which is Sunday. We've got auctions right through, and I reckon it's going to be a pretty strong finish of the year. What's your thoughts?
So. Look, there's definitely enough demand. I think while now the supply has increased and buyers, which will be grateful for the more choice, I'm still seeing overall, on average, obviously more than one person bid at every property because that property gets sold, and usually that's one. Usually there's at least one or two others. So it's like a bit of a game of, it's like putting a puzzle together. We've got to put all the puzzles in the right, all the pieces back in the right spot. Yep. And thankfully, whilst it's not easy, if you add probably 3 weeks to every scheduled auction we have, I think we're sitting at about a 90-something% clearance rate when you allow a little bit of overtime if we haven't quite got it sold initially. So that's a pretty strong market, Gary.
It's a strong market. I'll tell you what else is interesting, and it's not something that you see, because the consumer sees auctions and they see auction boards and they see auction results. But the unseen is also a very interesting tale to tell, really, because there are many sales that are happening off market. And look, there's certainly nowhere near as many as auctions, just so people don't think that they're equivalent, because they're not. But there are many off market, and I know that we've had some great success in this area. And we can give you a couple of case studies. Maybe we should talk about where
for sure.
Our database just works really well. We meet people, they don't necessarily want to go down that whole track, or they will do it later. We have a number of people already signed up for next year, for February and March auctions, who are saying, look, we'll go there if we have to. Our preference is not to do it. But then there's other people that just say to us, if you've got a buyer, come and sell my property. And we've had some really good outcomes and success of that.
Yeah, we have. And I'll take you through. One case study we had in a brand new townhouse in Gill Street. Jan had been sort of dropping onto this site, meeting the developer, who maybe had other allegiances, but sort of said to Jan flippantly, you know what, when they're done, you can try to sell one off market. I'm not going to give you any budget and advertising. And sure enough, she said, okay, took the challenge on, went, bought a buyer, sold it for in excess of $2 million, which was more than the owner's probably minimum was at the time. She thought, you know what, I've done that. I'll get the other one for sure. And on this occasion, she said, you know what, I'm pretty loyal to my initial customer. So I went with another agency, local in the area, a big agency. Had all the advantage of an auction and marketing and advertising and internet and board, all of that, and produced bubkiss, unfortunately, for the developer, who, when their period ran out, rang Jan and said, don't suppose you could find me another buyer? Jan said, let me try. And within the week, had found a buyer from her personal network and sold. And I think it's fair to say now she is the number one agent for that developer. So that is happening. And that's, I don't even know, we probably don't even have a photo in the background to show it. It might just be a generic sold off market photo. We had no marketing material.
It's interesting. That was amazing. And Jan's one of our stars, of course, from our office, amongst our others there as well. But certainly that was a great job. There's also interesting, we're selling expression of interest as well, which you wouldn't think necessarily is a common method of sale in Brighton East or Bentleigh or Bentleigh East. But yet, lo and behold, they're probably selling that way as well. Yeah,
and look, the next one, if we go through an example, we do have some great photos of 4 Alfrey Street in Brighton East, where we sort of sat down with a client of mine, and Omer and his wife Tamara, and they said, look, Leon, you guys sell a lot of stuff like this. I'm not sure we want to have a board and an auction and lots of fanfare, but can you just bring your best qualified people through? And we said, sure, we'll try it this way and see what we can do. We did the standard, send out the SMSs, send out the emails, call the hot underbidders, and, delved into a few files that were, 6, 12, 18 months ago of comparable properties where I felt those buyers could live. and I found a couple, and one of them bought it.
Lo
And
behold,
you know, this property, and I think the price is disclosed at $3,285,000, which is which is a strong price for Brighton East, a beautiful home. So yeah, it can happen that way as well.
And just thinking it through even further, we had a twilight auction in Louise Street,
Yes.
which I enjoyed coming along and checking out. Philip doing stuff, and you were there, and
Yes.
thanks to the vendors that gave us that opportunity. But
Yep.
that was interesting as well. And so we're really, there's so many different ways of selling, isn't there? I mean, the auction is the obvious, true, tried, safe method, I think, and the most popular method, and the most common method. But we see, twilight auctions, we see off-market. We see expression of interest. So, we see a whole lot of different ways to be able to do business. So really, we can pretty much, we think, perform and prove shows, perform under any different kind of circumstances. It's like racehorses. Some are only good on the wet track or down the Flemington Straight. Others, they can perform all over the place. So we'll tap ourselves on the back for that. And but most importantly, if you're wanting to do it a little bit differently, come and see us, because we've got some pretty good form. Some other auctions and sales that were interesting. There was one in Parkmore Road. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, that was a little bit more traditional, Gary.
That was a more traditional sale.
We took some photos of a property. Interestingly, though, I'll tell you this property, Parkmore, we had this property about 6 years ago.
I remember, yeah.
And it went to the market.
Delightful vendors, I remember.
It just didn't happen. And I think they might have given it to another agent, and it also didn't happen, and they rented it. Not with us.
No.
But then they came back to us, which was great. And we took a lot of convincing, because, one's bitten, twice shy. They really didn't want to have an auction. Really thought that wasn't going to work. And we had to have the hard conversations with them where, I know it didn't work last time, but we still feel this is still the best method for you.
When you say, trust me, I'm a real estate agent, always gets a lot of mileage. Not necessarily, but did in this case. Yeah.
And to their credit, they might have done it under not their first preference, but they stuck with us. Lior Barr, who worked on that campaign with Yan, did a great job. And, sometimes you also need a bit of luck, where the eventual buyer actually came on the day of auction, where the two buyers we identified had been there through most of the campaign. They bid, they offered, but then the person that gazumped them all and paid the little premium just came on the day, and are really happy because they bought a beautiful place in that McKinnon Secondary College zone. But that was a bit more of a traditional way of doing it. Like 50 Charles Street, in Brighton East, a beautiful family home.
Oh yeah,
had a 4-week campaign, and a huge crowd at the auction.
Fabulously popular.
And
Brighton East, yes.
Yeah, in Brighton East, and had a competitive auction. Philip did a good call, and two families that really loved the home fought it out.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if the price is disclosed, but I could probably say it's in the low $3 million range, which is now really the entry level for anything that's a good condition family home.
Luxury homes,
in East Brighton.
Yep. Deacon Street's the other one you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, look, this is a bit of, we spoke about sort of staying fit and staying positive. I mean, this property went to auction on the 9th of September.
Really?
And we had an auction, and we had a bidder, and we had an offer in the middle of the range, and we stuck with the vendor where they said we wanted more than that.
And we believed in that too.
We knew we'd get a little bit more. It took another 7 or 8 weeks, and a lot of, hard work for us to show the vendor that we hadn't lost any love for the property. We still thought it was a great property. We knew we'd get that offer back. Looked a bit shaky for it, but we knew it'd come back. And we actually got that offer from a different buyer, in fact, a little bit more. And it was a tough one, but it got it done. But I think where, Lior and Yan on the back, who did a great job, showing it multiple times every week. We sometimes see people, the agent loses faith. They stop opening the property. They kept it open 2 or 3 times a week, found a buyer, and the vendors are thrilled.
Fantastic. Well, persistence beats resistance, and sometimes the road to the highest price is not the shortest one travelled.
No.
Sometimes it's a longer one travelled. We've got some beautiful listings coming up, and for those that want to sell this year, if you pretty much just put this on pause now and ring Leon or myself, you can get on. But otherwise, if it'll take a few days, just about forget about it.
Yeah.
But people are really lining up for next year. We've got some beautiful auctions, some great quality properties in February and March. But let's talk about some of the ones that are coming up, because we've got some great addresses here. I mean, I'm excited about the home in Yarraburn Close. I know that we've all been there. I've been there. Philip's done the video and done a fine job.
Yeah.
And you're there with Vanessa handling that fantastic property.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. A twilight auction, no less.
It is a twilight auction. I'll say we're going to cover 5 properties today, and I reckon they are, not being biased, probably the 5 best of their category.
Yep.
Not because I'm being biased, I genuinely believe they are standout properties, and Yarraburn Close is a standout.
Yeah.
It's a home that's in ready-to-move-in condition.
Yeah.
It has a pool. It's like a resort. There's probably some pictures in the background.
Does, yeah, it
it's
does
like a
feel like a
resort feel.
Yeah,
It's
we're
been-
in it now. It's feeling
We
good,
are
isn't
in it
Yeah,
now. There it
it's
is.
lovely,
And not quite in the pool, but a really beautiful family home that's been much loved and cared for a number of years, and now it's somebody's opportunity to go in, make it their own. But it's got a great resort style feel. It overlooks the back of an oval. It's got a great outlook. It's in like a little hidden court. I'm not sure if it's exactly like
one of the
Wisteria
secrets
Lane or something like that.
Secrets of Bentleigh East is one of the secrets of the
Yeah,
area.
but it's a terrific property.
It is a beautiful property. We're looking forward to bringing that one to market. Let's move on to Ann Street, McKinnon, because that is a fantastic street. And just like Yarraboon Close, full of beautiful homes.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, absolute blue chip, A-grade real estate. It's a double-storey period home in excellent condition on the west side of the street in McKinnon Secondary School Zone. All the bedrooms in the right places, all the bathrooms in the right places. This is really one that I believe many people who are looking for a home that would wait for the right one to come on. This is that kind of property. Very excited to have 17 Ann Street, McKinnon starting this week.
And if you're a big kahuna, come along to 12 the Lahona Avenue in Bentleigh East. Tell us a bit about that home, Leon.
Yeah, and this is a side-by-side townhouse. We sold the other half of this when it was brand new for our clients when they built it. Very typical what happened in East Bentleigh, where people had a home, they did a development, lived in one, sold the other one to pay for the development. And this is, I actually couldn't believe it was about 8 or 9 years since
Looks
this is
young,
like,
doesn't it?
this
Yeah.
is,
Looks
I
terrific.
actually walked in and I thought must be 2 or 3 years old. I forgot that we'd sold the other half so long, like 8 or 9 years ago. So this is in terrific condition. And I think it's got a really smart floor plan where it's got 3 bedrooms and 3 living zones and a purposely built office, which I think for a traditional family, say with 2 kids and a bit of work from home, it works perfectly.
And we know that builder only builds great quality. So looking forward to seeing you with that one. 2 more before we go. 36A Wheeler Street, Ormond, another great address.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I'm sure the images are behind us and maybe even some visions of Philip's video tour. When I rang Philip and booked him in for the tour, I said to him that you've got to, be really, really up and about. Not that he's never not up and about, but this is probably as good as you see in a joint wall townhouse.
Well, they certainly didn't need to put it on because I know he was raving about it afterwards.
Yeah, and this is a home. This is not a townhouse. It's over 37 squares under roof. It has a double lock-up garage. All the rooms are extra large. The floor plan's terrific. The quality of finish, Gary, and the quality of materials. I actually had one of my other developers walk through it and said
that's a benchmark.
It's almost they spent too much. Like they could have done a lot less, but this is probably as good as you'll see. And it gets you into the McKinnon School Zone, and you can walk to Ormond train station in about 3 minutes from this home. So it's a great spot.
Love that street and certainly that position. Let's just wrap up with 2 at 6 Fairbank Road in Bentleigh to bring down the curtain on the offerings coming to you this edition, because we'll be back again before the year's out with some predictions and a year wrap. But tell us about Fairbank Road.
Yeah, and we've covered a few different product types: family home, townhouses, and so on. This is a single level home, which is just over 20 or just on 20 years old. It's in incredible condition. And I think 20 years ago, they were building things really well.
Yes.
They'd say they're proper hardwood floors and brick veneer all the way through. And this is perfect for a young couple who doesn't want to be in an apartment, or if someone's scaling down from a bigger home. Yeah, that's right. And it's in that early $1 million range, which is really hard to get into. So 2 at 6 Fairbank Road, Bentleigh, a great single level opportunity.
That is a big wrap with this Bentleigh report for November 2023. There is a lot going on. It's an exciting time. Get out and have a look at some of our auctions. Come have a coffee from our coffee van, which you'll see at so many of our auctions as well. We look forward to bringing you all the news. We've got one more edition coming up later on in the year. We look forward to seeing you then. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Leon Guzenfitter.
Bye for now.